Hey guys, good evening. I'm happy to connect with you all. And in this week's AMA session, sorry about a little bit of delay, guys. We were just working a bit on our setup here and it took some delay. Sorry about that. But having said that, it's another week, an interesting week has gone by, and then we are again talking about BTC predictions to begin with. Welcome now, Nelson Joy, Rajan. World with Ritya. Will we ever have an alt season? Oh man, I know how it is. Waiting for the alt season to begin, but lot of dramas that are happening around the world, which is in a way that is troubling the alt season to begin soon, guys. But anyway, let us discuss about all that in this week's roundup of what had happened in the last week, what moved, what did not move, how was the market. Let's get into all the discussion, guys. I know this week the market has pretty much gone sideways. Uh, I mean, I cannot notably point out tokens, but yes, in the large ones, obviously, Bitcoin had though in the week, there was a bit of little correction that happened. I would not quote a big correction that had happened, but yes, it had again picked itself up, and we are up by 3.4 percentage this week compared to last week, and now we are trailing at close to 108,000. We are yet to reach 108, but it looks like we'll reach 108,000 very very soon. Apart from that, yes, I think XRP had a decent week. Taking up somewhere around 5 percentage, and Tron also had a decent week with 5 to 6 percentage growth. Apart from that, notable tokens, Hyperliquid had done well with 13 percentage. Looks like there is also a very good news that you guys should be looking at, wherein the percentage of DEX compared to centralized exchanges, the DEX trade volumes are increasing, right? Notably, last year I think it was 20 percentage was DEX volume, 80 percentage was CEX's volumes. Now that is moved up by 25 percentage. Now it is interesting to note that DEX is gaining the volumes, and that is ideally what it is supposed to do, and it's good to see that it is happening. Now, apart from that, yes, let us also discuss about what happened last week. I think last week was not just for the crypto ecosystem, but for the entire world. It was clouded by two key people who have become not just very, very important for the crypto guys, but for the entire world, which is Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Now, I'm pretty sure that you guys would have followed what is happening between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. They have had a public feud, uh, which has come out in public, and obviously, a lot of messages have been exchanged. Donald Trump moved out of the Dodge governing body. Obviously, it stated a lot of reasons saying that he's not been able to perform like the initial times, and yeah, you could point out to a lot of factors that definitely Donald Trump also faced a lot of backlash with the actions of Elon Musk, which has in a way created a feud between these two people. Especially the fight had happened to a greater extent regarding one particular bill, which is supposed to reduce the tax burden, and yeah, it's supposed to decrease the tax burden, but in a way, it is also going to increase the debt burden of US. Like uh, Donald Trump calls it, he calls it the one big beautiful bill, right? So you would have seen tweets by Elon Musk and all, which are saying "kill Bill" and all that, and there was a lot of things that were thrown at each other. Uh, Musk at one point went ahead to send that the Epstein files also has Donald Trump's name. That's why it's not gone public, but he deleted the tweet earlier. So when a lot of this was happening, the whole world was watching on what's going to happen between these two people who had nothing less than a bromance that was happening. So In a way, even in that front, things kind of seem to be settled down. Elon Musk has mellowed down. He has started focusing on his business because his Tesla stocks also took a beating. I think it went down by 14 to 16 percentage, which was worrying the investors a lot. I think Elon Musk has now taken a note of that, and he is for good. He has decided to take care of his businesses because one of his businesses like SpaceX and this automobile business, there are a lot government focused businesses, which you should be wary about, is what the general investor crowd feels. Now, why is this important to us? When all these fights were happening, the global world was also a bit worried on what's happening with these people, right? Is US going to have a stable economy? Was the fear that came and kicked it. But having said that, there was some good news that came when Donald Trump had given indicators that the discussion or the negotiations with China are going in a very positive front. If you have noticed, the Asian markets, the Hong Kong exchange, and even the Japan and even the South Korean exchanges, they all had opened up today with a positive note where the prices are where the market has shot up, especially for example Hong Kong indices have performed well compared to their values in March, which is a good indicator because it just happened since March is the first time it has happened. So there has been a positive sentiment, but that positive sentiment has not greatly affected Bitcoin till now. But we are seeing a lot of movement on that on Bitcoin prices as we speak. So Bitcoin prices are inching close to $108,000, which is again, as I see it, more or less, Bitcoin was range bound last week. Uh, it might be due to the fact that there was not much news that was there in the last week, right? I think maybe the lack of news could also be a factor that Bitcoin did not have a lot of pressure last week. But having said that, now this effect of the global economic scenario, which is looking positive because US and China negotiations are going good and is giving a positive indicator, could definitely have a positive indication on the prices of Bitcoin. Now, with this bill, why did I talk about this bill? This bill will ideally mean that the US government is going to have more debt. Now, when US government is going to have more debt, the beauty of the US government is it starts printing a lot of money to service the debts. Now, that becomes an ideal case again for why you should be having crypto assets, especially Bitcoin. Now, this is again one of the long-term indicators that which will show that now, if you notice the U.S. bond market, the interest rates or the yield in the bond market is also increasing drastically. You would have also noticed the U.S. Securities ratings also went down recently. So these are all indicators that the government is facing pressures, which will again lead to creating more fund flow within the ecosystem. Is the expectation. When there's more fund flow, it is going to have a positive effect on prices. Now, there is another indicator. Now, Wednesday, there is going to be the consumer price inflation index that is going to come out. Now, it is not going to be a surprise for a lot of people. Uh, it is expected to be high. If you notice, the US inflation prices were under control, they were stabilizing or reducing. Now, why is this important? If it is stabilizing or it is reducing, then we would have looked at Fed would have corrected the interest rates. They would have lowered the interest rates, which indeed would create more liquidity into the ecosystem, which could positively affect the prices. But the supply shock that was created post the tariff wars, wherein though US had put in tariffs with a lot of countries, that had increased the price of baseline prices of goods, which would have created further inflation in the ecosystem, is the expectation. So CPI index, it is expected to be higher than the previous quarter. that is expected. Now, what this means is we might not be looking at Fed reducing the interest rates soon. So if they had reduced soon, we would have had more liquidity. But having said that, there are other factors like the ones we are discussing about, where they have to service their debts. How are they going to service their debts? They'll have to print more money, which is again going to create more liquidity into the ecosystem. That is the expectation. Now, having said that, now usually people are worried. I have comments already which are coming in. Especially World with Ritya had also asked, will we ever have an altcoin season? So what will be the trigger? So Ritya, this is a very interesting thing. Now, if you've noticed, Bitcoin ETF, if you guys are checking the flows of ETFs, you can check it in uh, Coin Market Cap as well. Where you can check. There's a section in Coin Market Cap which talks about the ETF. It is called the ETF tracker. If you noticed, Bitcoin has had outflow this week, right, of around for 25 million odd, if I'm not wrong, of outflows, 22 million odd of net outflows that has happened. But if you notice Ethereum inflow, this week Ethereum has gotten a total net inflow of around $25 million. When the ecosystem was moving sideways, nothing much was happening. It was good to notice that Ethereum ETF was slowly gaining a lot of investment. Now, what does that mean? Institutional investments are getting into Ethereum. They're moving away from Bitcoin and they're entering into Ethereum, which is ideally what we would expect to happen when altcoin is supposed to begin. Now, does it mean that the altcoin has begun? Maybe not yet, guys, because you also look at the Bitcoin dominance. The Bitcoin dominance is still above 60%. It is around 63%, if I'm not wrong, and it is not showing great indicators of going below 60,000. Now, there was, I think, during the time of February and March, it went below 60%, and it was somewhere in 55, 57% range. But again, it has gone above 60%. Now, what we are seeing is the institutional flow of money that has gone into Ethereum. It has moved beyond Bitcoin. Now we should also start noticing a lot of retail action in the months going forward is expectation. If now that works out, you will be seeing slowly funds moving away from Bitcoin into the other tokens. Now that is the expectation. Now, if there are not many factors globally which are going to globally affect the ecosystem, now it looks like crypto per se is in a set environment. I'm expecting uh, not large events which are going to be bad within the crypto ecosystem that's going to happen, because we've just come out of a very long bear market. Not just come out of, we had a very long bear market. This bull market has been very, very interesting. So a lot of weekends would have already already been dead or gotten corrected with their scenarios during the bear market. And what I'm expecting to see during this time is not much incidences that will happen in the crypto market, which will affect the prices, but rather the global economic scenarios are the one which are affecting crypto prices, like the tariff wars that are happening. So if China and US continue to have at least 3 to 4 months of solid, less volatile relationship, we could be seeing Bitcoin prices soaring up. Now, with Bitcoin prices soaring up, you will always have altcoins following the way. So that is the trend that we'll have to be looking out for, guys. I know China has also come out with their own indices, wherein the manufacturing index has gone down, which is a bad news. Which we hope that if US and China they resolve the issues, it will have a correction. Again, it is not that we want the manufacturing indices to come up. We just want the global trade scenarios to be in a comfortable, non-volatile zone, so that it does not affect crypto prices. So these are the things that happened last week, guys. Last week was mostly a general week. I would not have much of things to point out apart from the fight between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. But yes, there are other factors which are playing around. like the US China, which has been playing around for quite some time, which is creating an issue. Now, apart from this, there are certain key things. The crypto task force, it is actually scheduled to meet again today. Again, the topic of discussion is on DeFi. I think even last time they had a topic of discussion on DeFi. We are hoping that this roundtable would be pushing regulations forward. It's very critical because India might be having a good example to see when they have to look into regulating India. So it is very critical that US moves forward. And it's good to see the task force doing its job. Now that's on the task force front, guys. There is other tokens. If I had quickly take a glance of what is happening with other tokens, is generally a sideward movement. It has not been a bad market. It has just been a business as usual market in most of the tokens. I think it is this week which is going to be critical. If it is there's not going to be much of pressure on the macro scenarios, we might be seeing a good week for Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin is going to have a price increase which is going to go beyond 110K, then we're definitely going to see a lot of alts moving as well. So you guys have to be watching out for movements. You guys have also be looking at any particular altcoin where there's a fund accumulation that is happening. Currently, you notice it with Ethereum where there's institutional accumulation that is happening. So you might also notice a lot of retail players trying to come in the coming week in Ethereum is my expectation. So that's the quick roundup, guys. I think this week is more or less been straightforward, nothing much in particular. And to all our customers, our futures is getting geared up. We will be reaching out to you with the communication about our futures this week. You will be getting a mail from Giottus. That is with all the excitement I'm talking to you guys. We will be launching our futures product soon, and you will be receiving a communication from Giottus this week, hopefully, right? So with that note, I think I have really short AMA this week. I didn't have much of things to share. Maybe the market is also that. So with that, I'll quickly end this week's AMA, guys. And next week, I'm hoping that it's going to be an amazing week. There's a lot of solid movements that are going to happen in the market. Thanks a lot for your time. Till next week, have a great week trading. I think the prices are going to do a lot of magic. So see you next week. Take care. Thank you. Bye bye.